seems like farm people are really good human beings a lot of the time. Kind of like Superman. He grew up on a farm. He's a good dude.
Here he goes again.
All right, everyone, welcome to Prairiepreneurs, Wichita, Kansas, Chris and Leslie, and we have actually another Chris with us today. He is our guest, and that is Chris Myers with, is Myers plural, right? With an
That's
S.
correct, yes.
With Myers Automotive, which is a fantastic mechanic shop here in Wichita. Would you identify yourself as a mechanic shop?
Certainly.
What's the right classification?
Or automotive repair.
Automotive repair. They do very, very, very good work, and Chris is just about the most genuine dude you'll ever meet. And so, anyhow, very happy to have him on this podcast today. Chris, up until like 3 weeks ago, we didn't even have a name for this podcast. That's how reckless this was.
Okay. I'm glad to be a
So
part
if you
of it.
roll with Leslie, she does ready, fire, aim,
Yes.
Okay.
or break stuff
Yeah.
and clean it up
Because otherwise
later.
it would have taken Chris a year to come up with a name and we wouldn't have started yet.
That's probably true. Got to have the right name, the right look, the right logo, all of it. But anyhow, so yeah, we didn't have a name at all. And we had a guest on the show here probably a month ago, co-founder of a technology company. He said, I think you guys should do Prairiepreneurs. And I guess there's a trending buzzword with the preneur
Okay.
thing. So anyhow, we had no name, but welcome to Prairiepreneurs, guys, with Chris Myers here on our show today. So Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Northeast Kansas originally, in between Topeka and Lawrence, a small town called Perry.
How do you spell that?
Perry.
Have you heard of that town?
No.
Uh,
What's the population?
about 1,200 or so.
Okay.
Yeah. So no reason. But
It's a woe town. They don't have a stop sign. It just says whoa.
Hey, listen, I am learning that there are probably 100 cities in this state that we've all been raised in our whole lives that I've never heard of.
Yeah, I believe that.
And up until today, I have never heard of Perry, Kansas. Perry.
Yep. Yeah.
So were you raised on a farm? Tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
your childhood, like
Yeah.
your background,
Sure.
family.
My family's somewhat unusual, but then again, not many people don't have unusual something in
Okay.
their family. But
I want to hear about this.
So
Unusual.
I grew up in a farming community. We had a pretty large farm for that area. They took part of our farm actually when they created the highway up to the lake that they put in back in the 50s. So from a large family, 10 out of 12 kids.
Wow.
We range from my oldest sister's 76 now to down to my younger sister that's she just turned 40 actually. So
76 to 40
yeah,
and 12 total.
Yep. There's an adopted one that is younger. She's in her 20s, but so we're unusual. It was a combination of his, hers, and theirs. So my father's previous marriage and
Okay.
mother's.
So it's a
previous-
blended family.
Yeah, yeah.
So you mean that's what you mean by unusual? When you say unusual?
That's part of it, but that's tip of it.
Okay.
My father was 67 when I was born.
Really?
So he was
That
from
is amazing.
probably your grandparents' generation, I guess. So
When he had you.
yeah, when yep, and my
So are you where do you fall on the spectrum?
number
10?
10. So my younger sister, who's 40, so he was a few years older at that point.
Wow.
And then again, the last one was adopted. So it's it works. It was, there was a lot of activity in the house with that many kids, and a lot of them had been grown and out of the house for a long
Yeah,
period
so I'm
of
going
time.
to ask you. So how many siblings did you actually,
There was
from as far back as you can remember, how many did you really?
there's like
hang
5 or
around
6
and-
of us at the house at any given time.
Okay.
Between some that would come back every once in a while
Yeah.
too. Everybody has those in their family.
I
a
was
lot.
that person.
You were what person?
I was the person that kept coming home.
Yeah.
I think it happened like 11 times. Maybe
Really?
not. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you were getting in trouble or something like that?
No, I just run out of money.
Oh.
Then I'd have to come back home. Then I'd stay there long enough to get enough saved up that I'd leave again.
And then blow it all?
Yeah.
Oh, well, why not?
Yeah. Why not?
My goodness. Okay, so are you close to all? Like, what's the relationship like?
Yeah, well, as you can imagine, it's those that are older. I'm
distant?
closer to their children than I am to them.
Yeah.
You know,
That's crazy.
But my brother Chuck, for instance, he's my oldest brother. He just turned 74. He calls me Christmas, Thanksgiving,
Really?
my birthday, in between. He and I have always had a good relationship. And
Wow.
and my older brother Tim and I, we used to share a room when we were young, so we're pretty close. And then my sister, who's 18 months older than me, she and I used to pass for twins, so we definitely are very close. She'll be in town tomorrow, actually, for my son's birthday party. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah, so it's nice. I mean, there's distance between us. Just we are spread out all over the U.S. for that matter, and just everybody has their own
Wow.
life and family. So
That's a big family. You might have the biggest family out of anyone we've had on this show.
So my granddad was 22 or 23 years older than my grandma on my dad's side, and they had 10 kids.
Yeah.
So they weren't as far apart in age. She had one. I don't know if my granddad had any other kids outside of this family. I know he had one that his wife that died, my grandmother, once they got married, they have a daughter that is named after his deceased wife. Could you imagine naming your daughter after your husband's deceased wife?
that'd be a little different.
Yeah. So see, everybody's got that weird family.
Yeah, no, it's
So you grew up on a big farm, you said. This is a big farm?
Yeah, well, for the area, it was a pretty decent-sized farm, so
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean,
12 kids, and
we had plenty
better
of
have a
space.
backyard.
Yeah, we had a couple sections of ground around us that, so a significant amount of space to roam. And at that time, we would just go out in the morning and do what we needed to do as far as work is concerned, and then,
So did you work on the farm?
Yeah,
Chris?
when I was young.
I mean,
and
was that kind of the
So
expectation?
crops
Was there
or
an
animals, or what kind of
expectation?
farm are we talking?
A combination of both. By the time I was around with my older siblings, they did more, but my father was closer to retirement age. I think he finally retired at 85. We had
That's a good age for retirement.
Yeah, so he owned.
That's like kind of a farm. Farmers are like hard
That
workers,
that
right? They don't,
generation for sure. So.
Yes.
and that generation,
Yeah.
they just keep going.
So we had he owned fleet service in Topeka. It was we worked on large semis, heavy vehicles. He owned that after he got back from the war in the 50s is when he started it. And then
Is that where you got exposed to automotive?
yeah, for sure. I mean, he had a trucking company before the war, and then he had the fleet service after, and he finally got out of that, retired in the mid 80s.
Wow.
I think it was 87 when he. So I was far too young to even consider taking anything
that business.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but that's where I got my start in anything mechanical or electrical. I've just been drawn to it. We had multiple engines laying around the farm, and as a kid, I would take them apart and figure out how
they
things
work.
and anything that needed to be done. It's just kind of the way that people do. They do it themselves. You don't call someone out to fix it. Typically,
No YouTube.
not then. No,
Guys, Chris was fixing
definitely not at your
engines
dad's age.
that he didn't even know how to fix with no YouTube.
Yeah, well, I
So-
can't say that all of them were fixed, but they
He
all
did
got back
something with
together.
them. He did something. But still, can you imagine that? No YouTube? I can't do anything without YouTube. It's pathetic. Yeah. The difference between me and Chris would be I would be beating the engine with a bat
Yeah,
with frustration because I am not good with
Mechanically.
no numbers, but not calculus numbers, dollar sign numbers.
Dollar sign.
I can do those
yeah.
all day long. But yeah. So, what was your what were you like as a kid?
Oh,
So, were you kind of off? Was that kind of like was doing the engine thing your version of what some kids would do today when they geek out on video games or something? They just kind of go to their corner and this is my thing in my space.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time with my brother and fishing and doing
Oh, okay.
that type of thing. So I've always been an outdoorsman, and
Okay.
just kind of born into that, I guess. So certainly the tinkering with engines and getting old vehicles we had on our property running. I remember my first truck was a 48 Willys, and my dad told me that if I could get it running, I could have it.
You have it.
So I was 10 at the time, and then I think by the time I was 11, I finally had it running and would drive around on the farm, and it was fun.
That's like the Karate Kid.
Yeah,
I know we've brought that movie up on
Yep.
this podcast before.
it's a good show.
If you haven't noticed by now, and Chris, we tend to reference the 80s a lot. I think you're an 80s kid. It seems like we're 80s children. So anything that went down in that generation, like Karate Kid, seems to be a point of reference for us. But as you're telling me that story, I'm picturing Daniel's son waxing his truck that looks like a junker in the junkyard and turning it into a nice, polished truck.
Yeah, no, it was fun. We had a good life growing up.
So did you go to public school? Were you
Combination of
homeschooled?
homeschool and public school. Majority of it was homeschool.
Okay.
My mother.
That was before homeschool was like
Yeah,
a more normalized ordeal.
Yeah,
Right.
it definitely is different now as opposed to then. There were some events to where you could get together with other homeschool children, and mainly it was around standardized testing is the time that they would do that. But no, it being that I had a large family, there was always activity, a lot of people around.
Right.
So I don't think that I ever really longed for anything. There was my nephew, it's kind of funny, but he and I are 6 months difference in age, but so we grew up together. My sister's house was just right up the road. So spent a lot of time there. And, so I always had friends, and it definitely, like I said, was a good childhood. I think that a lot of what was instilled in me then, certainly just the farming life and the fact that my father was so much older, perhaps the values that your father or his father had is the lifestyle or the type of role model I had growing up. So
You had a pretty good upbringing.
yeah, I think so.
Hard-working family, good morals, obviously. I mean, if you're, in my opinion, this is my opinion. Do whatever you want with it. I don't care. But anyhow, it seems like farm people are really good human beings a lot of the time. Kind of like Superman. He grew up on a farm. He's a good dude.
Here he goes again.
Right?
That's a bit
So
of a
anyhow,
stretch, but yeah.
Would you say that's
yeah,
but that's what it sounds like. You had a really good,
yeah.
no rebellious streaks or anything like that.
I'm sure I had my
Your-
moments.
your
I can-
moments.
Yeah, I can recall a few. I don't care to share them, but I can recall
Right.
a few. So.
We won't ask you
Luckily, our stuff all happened before camera phones and
Yeah,
Facebook and all of
fact.
that stuff, so it's not documented.
Yeah.
So, what are your future business goals?
I was just going to say that.
Future business goals. Well, again, taking that next step. So I see in the next few years that we will add a few more locations. We have one on the horizon right now that I'm reviewing. That may come in the next year or so.
New? Is this a new,
location.
newly constructed location?
Well,
or
we're looking at a couple different ones.
or is it just whatever opportunity presents itself?
We have a few opportunities that have presented themselves that I'm evaluating, and then we're also looking at a new location as well. So we've got some areas that I believe will work well for us. Nothing is set in stone, but we have a method now of going about how we expand that's different than what we've had ever in the past, and it's just
Probably have a playbook now.
yeah, we certainly do. There's again, as you continue on, you make enough mistakes, you learn from them. That's probably what sticks out the most in my mind are those things that where I don't want to do that again. So it's
So all in Kansas is
right now that's
you envision multiple locations just all staying here?
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel as though this area can withstand having a couple more of us of our shops around. And from there, I could see expanding into the Kansas City or Oklahoma communities. There's Oklahoma City and Kansas City, certainly.
So just expanding locations is really your ultimate vision for Myers Automotive.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to just continue to expand for the sake of expansion. The group that I mentioned that I'm so very fond of, that I see their roles, each one of them, continuing to change. Each employee that I have, and as they take that next step, there's positions that will be added. There will be people that will advance and fill those other positions, and so we're pouring a lot of time and energy into our employees. Really that's been the main key to our success, is just focusing on the people that we have. That there occasionally will be the rock star that joins us and brings their own capabilities along, but more than anything, it's developing
training people.
Yeah, training people, developing the people that we have. We have a group of young kids. I call them kids. They're not. They're 18 years old, but we have a group.
Us,
I say a kid is younger than me, old is older than me,
They're
fat
kids.
is fatter than me. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, they're some of the hardest working, and they're the backbone of the shop. So I really look forward to working with them and seeing them expand their knowledge and just them grow.
So in conclusion here, we got a couple things we like to ask, but I'll let Leslie ask her whatever she wants to ask. But before I do
Thank
have
you for your permission.
Did I just give?
No,
Did that sound like permission? But could you give us like maybe a one minute? In 1 minute, you've got a great business. I know it has its challenges. You may have future challenges and future growth that may present future challenges. You got 2 kids and a good wife, and so what do you do to deal with your mindset every day?
I thought you were going to ask the questions.
Well, no, she's got a question. I think I know she's going to ask.
So what do I do?
So I was going to.
I have 2.
Okay. She's got 2. This is my only one, and you can just do it short and sweet. And
yeah, well,
off to Leslie.
It is short and sweet. I surround myself with good counsel. I have a group of people that I have come to trust and rely on when it comes to navigating life. I've got some very close friends, 2 of my best friends, that we have a small group together, and we share just challenges. We share life together. I have some people that are a lot farther along in their walk than what I am right now, and we meet frequently. So the people that you surround yourself with and the counsel that you take is critical to
kind of how you start looking, huh?
Yeah,
and help. Yep.
So one question I get asked a lot, and I would have to imagine Chris gets asked this a lot: when's enough? Do you have like this big pie in the sky goal of like, this is 100% what I want, and then I'm good?
I don't believe so. I don't know that I ever have enough is enough, because I don't look at it as in something is enough. It's not. I'm not out to make myself wealthy, at least by the world standards. I see the benefit that this company can have on the employees and the community, and they're going to want for themselves and for their children. I have my employees have brought their children into work for the company, so I just see the continuance of that and that mindset. So I don't see a stopping point. I certainly have some things that I want to accomplish and a timeline that I want to accomplish them in, but the business, I hope that it always will continue to grow in some way. And
so what you're saying is there's always going to be people to serve.
Absolutely.
So the enough will never run out, because there will always be more people to serve.
Have you ever had anybody ask you that?
Kind of.
Because you have like your hands in a ton of different things all the time. And so that's why I get asked that a lot. It's like, what's your final? I don't have that. Like, I don't ever see myself being done. Like, I like a challenge, and I like to try things and do things. And so I don't ever see that. So I think that's something common amongst entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
It's not just like, okay, once I hit $1 million or $5 million or I'm cashed out, I'm done.
I mean, there's definitely those goals, or you can't drive
Sure. Yeah.
a business forward profitably so that you can have more employees that you can then pour into.
Sure.
So it kind of all works together.
Yeah, and you need to celebrate those, because every time you do hit that milestone, who has benefited by that? Yourself, certainly, your family, definitely, but all those other people that you've helped out along the way. Right. So,
yeah.
So the question that Chris thought that I was going to originally ask, because I ask this at the end of every podcast, is who are some other entrepreneurs that you think would be a good fit to come on and have Chris and I interrogate them?
That's difficult. I know a lot of people that there's
one or two names, one or two people who comes to mind.
Mike Miller, he's a friend of mine, and he has been a part of many businesses, and he's got a brilliant mind. I think he would be, honestly, I don't think I could have a second, because he would be the guy that I think you should have on next.
What business?
Right now, he has Relum Arms, which he manufactures guns. So,
ooh,
yeah, so
that'd be fun.
Yeah, and he's been involved. Have you ever heard of the Nork?
Yes.
He's the one that invented that, and
I have a full set of them in my drawer.
Yeah,
Mike Miller.
So, Mike Miller, yeah.
I'll get with you.
Sorry, Mike. No,
Mike, we're coming after you. You can bring your guns in. Yeah. We're in Kansas. You can carry. Yeah. Yep. That's great. Awesome. Well, Chris, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and
I've enjoyed
jumping out of your comfort zone. For those of you watching, Chris doesn't really spend his days in front of a camera like Leslie and I do.
We're getting to that point.
He's smarter than I am, and just stays probably tooling his business now like an engine, making it a well-oiled machine.
There you go.
So thanks for coming on here and
thank you, Chris.
Exposing your life and your story, and hopefully it'll benefit and encourage someone out there and help people, because that's what we want to do.
Yep.
So thank you, everyone. See you later. Peace out. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.